back to another One Thing. I'm joined as always by the lovely and talented Jody and Kim from ePayments, a fresh approach to payments. We actually have another exceptional guest brought to us by the lovely Jody. Would you like to introduce?
Absolutely. Thanks, Neil. I am so honored to introduce our next guest today, Paul Hawkins. He is a founder, a software developer, an exceptional leader and motivator, and a woodmaker. Paul, would you be so kind as to tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're working on?
You bet. Paul Hawkins with Hawksoft, one of the co-founders of Hawksoft, along with my two sons. Actually, one is my son-in-law, but I call him my son also, although my daughter took adverse to it a little bit. She said, "What do you mean? What am I?" I said, "No,
Right.
You goof this up and you're in, he's in, you're out."
Yeah, there you go.
But we are, it's a family business. And I guess if I could pen a phrase for our business, we're a family-owned business in a family-centric industry that protects the American family and American businesses. And we take our industry stand very, very seriously. We're not here just to promote ourselves. We're here to promote the industry, because this is one of the most fabulous industries I could ever think of working in. The people that care, and most of the business are family-owned businesses, and it's really the heart of America. And we're just so grateful to be part of this industry and to be able to write software that helps the independent insurance agents to do the things that they do to protect the American family and their businesses.
I love that. One of the things I saw online and I heard you speak about is that the key to your success is surrounding yourself around great people. I'm going to just jump into my one thing. What is the one thing you look for when you're adding to your team, and that you are looking for in an individual that you know will contribute and make your organization better?
Well, I'm gonna quote somebody, one of my employees, that we have called a virtual break room. Now that we can't go to the break room and meet that way, we have a virtual break room. And it was Friday, and she said, "Oh man, I'm so happy with my Hawksoft family. I'm just concerned. We have a 4-day weekend, and I can't imagine being gone that long from my family. That my family that helps me, that picks me up, that raises me up, and that you do that for each and every one of our family, that we are all thriving and all growing." And that, to me, is the kind of person that I want, that's willing to. I tell people, if they come in and they have an ego, if they can't park it at the door, don't bother coming in, because we are a team. We win as a team and we fail as a team. It's what we do. It's who we are.
That's amazing. I also saw you speak about making everybody's desk, pre-COVID, of course, that you had literally handcrafted everybody's desk. And I'm like, wow, amazing. That is so cool.
Yeah, that personal touch for everybody, for all of our family. I also make name blocks, and then we do. In fact, you may have saw it at the thing. I make plaques, and this one happens to be a plaque for one of the agents that we gave him the Dick Fanazik Award, and that award has to do with the fact that it goes to somebody who profoundly impacts the lives of those around them. Again, raising everybody around you, and so that if everybody is looking out for everybody, everybody rises. the whole ship rises. And that's really, if I can think of a thing that I would consider success in life, that's a successful life when you can do that. It's not
And
the amount of money you make. It's not about all those other things. When you get your final days, you're not going to say, gee, I wish I'd have spent more time at work.
except if they're one of your employees.
But it's just picking people up.
Well, and so that kind of leads into what I wanted to talk with you about, is that when we were this was our first Hug conference, and Neil, it is called Hug, for those of you that don't know that, and it is a user conference, but I just think that when we were meeting people that were there for the first time, the one guy said, it's like a cult. And he meant it in the best way possible, because everybody was so inspired and so excited. And, I even saw some people quoting, these are some of your actual agencies. They said, Hawksoft is a part of my agency's DNA. If any point in the future they went away, they said they'd sell their agency. I'm like, wow, that's a customer. That's someone that doesn't work for you that,
right.
Is saying that. And everybody was talking about, your core values. And I know, one of them that was so simple was do the right thing. Just do the right thing. It doesn't have to be anything
that's funny
crazy.
because when we originally wrote that core value, it was we follow all the rules. And I nixed it and I said, no, because sometimes doing the right thing means that we're going to break a rule.
Yeah.
Some of the rules don't make sense in certain instances. So I tell people that we hire and we fire by our core values. We live by our core values, and we use our core values to answer all the questions.
Right. Well, and I just love it. And so, another thing that you said was, an attitude of gratitude and be humble. And the quote that you led with at the conference was, leadership is the responsibility to see those around us rise. It's not about being in charge. It's about taking care of those in our charge.
That's correct.
So it's very touching to me. So could you talk a little bit about, leadership in general and how you came to say, hey, we're going to have core values, and just what you think's missing in leadership in this day and age?
So much leadership in this country, in our society right now, is based on, like I said before, ego. I'm the greatest. It's me that does this. And where our leadership, we talk about leadership in our company, we talk about service leaders. In other words, if we're a leader, we serve. And it has to do, a symbol of that is the American totem pole. Now, people misstate the totem pole. They say, yeah, well, you're on the top of the totem pole. The top of the totem pole is the lowest person in the Indian thing. It's the bottom item on the bottom person on the totem pole that is supporting all the rest. And that's the most important person on the totem poles of the Native Americans. And it has to do with how we see leadership. I'm here to serve all those around me. That's kind of like dad, of a family. He's there to serve his family. He goes to work to put food on the table, to put a home over their head. It's all service. He's there to teach his children, and we do the same thing.
So you have a family business. I have a family business. I have multiple family businesses. But my kids are getting to a certain point where they are, like, my son's interest is in sports, and my daughter's interest is in art. And I want to kind of let them experience their freedom, go out there, go out, see the world, do the things that you need to do. But I'm also kind of concerned that they see us as somebody, we're in a place where we have been putting food on the table. We have purchased, we have homes, we have our cars, we have our dogs, we have our life, but they don't see it that they see us as mom and dad. When bringing a family business together, what's the one thing you can recommend to, kind of keep them stoked about what you do and bringing them into your business so they can stay part of your family forever?
That's funny because my son and I, Sean, my son Sean, and even my son-in-law, we started off. My son and I, and you probably may have, those that haven't seen it, they can go to our website and see the Hawksoft story, how we got started with computers. And my son and I teasingly say that my son and I grew up together because we learned computers together. We taught each other. And I think that if you can find something that a child is interested in, you become interested in that and you let them teach you. I say the same thing to our agency owners. I said, when an agency owner is talking to his staff just hear blah, 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 blah. But if he gets his staff to teach, then that teaching goes so much farther because the other ones know that it's going to be their turn and they're going to listen, and they know, they feel important, they feel empowered to do these things. And I think leadership has to do with our children. It has to do with everyone around us. And it's the same kind of leadership that has the best effect.
That's excellent. Yeah. Again, I don't have you have an interest where you could learn computers with your son, like grow up with him. And then you're like, well, I also have this woodworking thing where I'm building desks and nameplate. Like, you have so many interests. And again, with me and my son, we came up together playing games, like helping with homework. But at a certain point, you're right, we diverge from I become like the arbiter of I become an extension of his teacher at home. And especially during COVID, boy, oh boy, did his mom and dad become teachers. So at the end of the day, it's like,
I think that's one of the very best things that have happened with COVID. We have been blessed as a company, as a country, by a society because of COVID. It has made us step back and simplify and get back to the basics. And it brought us back to the point where education starts in the home. And we lost that for so long in this country. But education starts in the home.
I love that. And I saw too, we've had a few guests prior that talked about farming, and everybody started a garden and started to notice where our food is coming from again, which we have completely lost touch with. And I saw that was one of your passions too. So you have your farm. So you already were doing all the core values that I feel like we got reconnected with in COVID.
Yeah. In fact, I just got done. I just had a meeting just before this one, but before that meeting, my wife and I, we were having some grandchildren over for dinner tomorrow night, and some of my married grandchildren.
Oh,
That's
surreal,
really,
isn't it?
Oh man, I tell you, it really makes you feel old when you know you got. So now I'm just waiting for the great title, great grandpa and stuff like that. But anyway, I was outside. We had a big apple crop, and so we were getting ready for them having them over. So I went over and pressed a bunch of apple cider with our cider press. In fact, that's what I was just doing just a little bit ago.
That's so fun. Yeah, we had interviewed a woman farmer, a good friend of ours out of New York, and she was saying it's like bringing everyone back to the table. That's what we did during COVID. We sat down and had dinners every single night and got the kids cooking, whereas normally we were doing that drive-through. I'm an Uber driver in a sense, taking kids 2 different directions to sports and things. So when that started to pick up again, I was like, oh, no, I'm not ready.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
there's certain things we'll keep in place because of that.
Yes, I certainly hope so. I hope as a society that we have learned something from this, some important things, getting back to the basics, getting back to family. Yeah.
Yeah, very good.
Without a doubt. And again, everybody we've talked to, whether it be an actor or we talked to two directors who have been talking about how the fishing industry has changed over time and how people are looking to go dock to dish at this point. We've talked to farmers, we've talked to holistic healers, and now we're talking to business and entrepreneurial folks. Like, there's so many people looking at this as a net positive because it's not to use the term, it's a reset of what is important and what makes, and I signed some documents yesterday. I was sitting there with a notary and just it's not a lofty position, but I talked to him and he had been going through cancer during this COVID break and his kids were at home, but they weren't telling the kids that he had it. And his story was like, we had to keep it from them. But in the end, he has said he changed spiritually because he pulled himself away from like the woe is me. I feel, again, cancer is a very rough thing to go through, but he wound up finding a way to spiritually reset himself. And now he and his children, who are now in college after this, are they're closer to the parents than they've ever been. And that is like, he went through a very, very tough time for the last 2 years beyond COVID, beyond this. But because he was able to experience this, he was able to come out of it anew. Yeah. And his cancer, by the way, is in remission. It's gone. So that has another positive at the end of it.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
But there's, speaking of that, when people with cancer or any illness, there's no better place to heal than in your family. Mm-hmm. And that's why now even the medical industry is saying, now we want to get you out of the hospital as soon as you can to go home to your family, because that's where your support is, that's where your love is, and you're gonna heal so much faster. And so again, going back to our companies, even there, when I read that thing about what my employee said about how she loved her fellow workers and stuff, and the love that she felt, again, we can heal even in those places.
Yeah. Would you attribute that to your success? Because I know that other agencies have said, hey, what's the difference between Hawksoft and other agency management systems? They said, well, Hawksoft has a heart, number one. And during COVID, you guys grew like 300%, didn't you?
It wasn't that much, but we did grow. Yeah, we grew tremendously during this time. And it has to do with, again, I'm going to go back to that. This is a family-centric industry. This industry is a large portion of our independent agencies are family-owned, and people buy from people that they like their story. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's one. In fact, that was they did a survey, a big survey here a few years ago in the industry, and that was one of the things that came out, that the independent agency system is starting to thrive again because they've realized that people buy from people that they like their story, they feel connected. Mm-hmm. and so we've got good reputation throughout the whole industry. A lot of the carriers say, boy, we'd rather do business with you, Paul, than anybody else, because they trust us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Whereas before COVID, I think everything was going so online, and you can talk about where certain millennials, like I know sometimes Jody and I are like, this is a really big project. Can we jump on the phone with you? And if it's someone from a younger generation that isn't used to human contact and conversations, they'll say, no. We have one guy that he will do anything to not have to have a conversation and get on the phone with us. And that, and a lot of agencies have said too, where buying insurance, like, it's very serious. It's a very emotional sale. I know I just had to bite the bullet for health insurance for the new year and being, owning my own company. That's
Right.
not easy. So it's very emotional, and you
Right.
want to have someone to talk to, and you want to have that connection and feel like someone's really looking out for you.
You want that trusted advisor.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So that's another thing that maybe this whole COVID thing might have flipped on its head, is that
Yep.
human connection is important.
Yep.
That was the thing that drew us to you in Hawksoft. We heard about you and we heard about your organization, and we're a family company too. And we were like, this is a perfect fit. So, I really appreciate your story, and it's something to look up to. 26 years in business is amazing.
Yeah, that's the other thing, that in 26 years, it started off with just two of us, and we've had to change hats, and we have had to grow and change. Most entrepreneurs don't make it past 5 years because they can't keep up to it, and so you have to keep reinventing yourself and keep changing and growing with what you're doing, and that's another part of what we've done.
I could revitalize the Bauer lumber industry through your craft alone. That would be a great story. Like, my grandfather blew it all up as a playboy, but through Paul Hawkins and Hawksoft, we turned it all around, and now we're making tables for everybody. And you know what? I might be in the market for a new desk. I mean, if you're throwing away some wood somewhere.
And a name block, Neil.
It's the worst
That's
thing. I was always told that you always spend money on chairs and not on the desk, because you make the chairs as comfortable as possible because you want their butts in it all day. That's the way I was told in business. But the reality is, if I knew somebody had made my desk, that actually ties you to that desk of like, oh my gosh, there's a lot to be expected. Like, you get that feeling of almost it's not gravitas, but like importance. Like, there's like, they cared enough about me to make me a desk.